All right. I'm back with another channel update. As you may have noticed, if you have subscribed to the channel, there are the 10 different days of Gabriel Night 1, all there on a Gabriel Night 1 playlist. So if you want to watch the 10 days of Gabriel Night, you can do so. And I am in the process of uploading all 10 days combined into one video, which totals just over 11 hours, which in terms of gameplay videos now, if I'm not mistaken, has become the longest gameplay video. The one prior to that was Lighthouse. And similar to Lighthouse, Gabriel Night 1 gave me a number of problems. So I have the CDs for all the Sierra games because I'm old, and I purchased them as they came out when they were initially released. So they're all in bins and stuff like that I store securely and safely, make sure that they don't get damaged or eaten by termites or anything weird like that. But so when I got to deciding to play Gabriel Night 1, I also buy these on Steam and GOG and stuff like that, just to basically show support of these games. And so I decided, you know what, instead of going into my garage and daring the dangers of this garage, it is quite messy, I decided just to go to GOG, download the game from there, which I'd already purchased, and just run it through there. Unfortunately, the Gabriel Night 1 game through GOG uses ScumVM. Now, this is no knock against ScumVM, but when you're trying to do a channel where you're recording the videos, ScumVM does not have a recorder built into it natively, unlike DOSBox. And Gabriel Night 1 is a DOS game, so it would be more beneficial to people like me to be able to use the DOSBox version of Gabriel Night 1. So I tried to tinker around with it, but some of the files are missing from ScumVMV, which they can do to basically, they take out some of the files to be able to make it launch easier. It's unfortunate that they do not do a ScumVM and a DOSBox release, because these games are old and they're small. You know, these games are not gigs and gigs of size. So it'd be cool if GOG and Steam offered an option. Hey, if you want to use ScumVM, use this. If you want to download DOSBox, use this. That'd be great. But unfortunately they don't. So I tried to use ScumVM, long story short, too late. And because it does not have a native built-in recorder, I ended up using Fraps. And Fraps is what I used to capture Lighthouse when I was playing. Lighthouse being a Windows something file, or Windows, it was either 3.1 or 95 type game. So Fraps works fairly well with that. Unfortunately with the DOSBox, it wasn't working so well. What was happening is it would capture, but then the dialogue would be off. So you would see the characters like move their hands and their digitized mouth would move. But then it'd be a few seconds later, the dialogue would kick in. So that was causing a problem. And so I thought, you know what, I'll try to tinker around with it. But unfortunately with the ScumVM version, there are some DOS files that were missing, so it's not even really playable through DOSBox very easily. So I said, all right, so that's a fail. Let me go ahead and venture into my garage, which is a dangerous, perilous place. All my games, all my Sierra games and Wizardry games and a few other titles, Realms of Arcania, are all secure in bins. So, but I just have to get to them. Like I have to move a dinner table that we used to have in the house, that we moved into the garage when one of our dogs was getting old and having difficulty moving on the on the tiled floor. So we took that out and basically put carpet there, so he had an easier time walking. So the garage just over time has just got a bunch of stuff in it. And so I ventured in there, got my bin that had the Gabriel Night games. I installed it using, by the way, I mention this all the time. If you go to sierrahelp.com/forums, they have a great community. I am a co-admin there. Collector is the one who runs the site. But if you go to sierrahelp.com, he has a number of installers. You'll still need the original game, but he has CD-less installers. So, for example, Gabriel Night 1 requires a CD to be able to read off of it. But if you use this installer, as long as you have the CD, it'll actually install all the CD contents onto your hard drive, so you actually do not need the CD. This was extremely beneficial for like Lighthouse, as well as for Gabriel Night 2 and Gabriel Night 3. And as well as Shivers, which I'll probably maybe do after Gabriel Night. It was one of the ones I installed because Shivers 1 and 2 were both in my Gabriel Knight bin, so I was like, oh, he has CD list installers for these. I'm just going to install these as well. So they may be next. I have no idea. Anyway, so I eventually got Gabriel Knight 1 installed, and using the DOSBox native recorder that Collector uses to make these CD list packages, it was way better. So I was eventually able to get through all 10 days of Gabriel Knight 1, and I said, perfect. And my first time, I said, I'm just going to render all 10 days as one video, and then I'll splice out each day afterwards. So I did all 10 days as one long video, which I said was roughly 11 hours of gameplay. And to render that, it actually took my computer 22 hours to render in 1080p. So I could use my computer while it's rendering, but it does slow down the process and make the rendering speed go slower. So pretty much for 22 hours, I did not touch my computer, hardly at all, just so this thing could render. And sure enough, what happened, and I don't know exactly what caused it, but after 22 hours, I played this this video that was 11 hours long, and there was zero audio. For whatever reason, none of the audio was captured, but in the individual files, the audio is there. So I know that the audio was there, and as I looked into it, I had a preset in there for my Sierra games that was suddenly gone. So I assume when I told it to render the video, it picked something else that wasn't there because it no longer saw my Sierra profile that I had made to render these videos in, and it probably just selected something else, and whatever that generic profile that it picked apparently does not render audio. So what I ended up doing is I ended up splicing the 10 days, which I already mentioned, and wanted to test it to make sure, maybe the 11 hours was too much for this computer to try to render. Like maybe 10 hours, like Lighthouse, was the cutoff. Anything beyond 10 hours, I just can't do it, man. So I rendered each day individually, and the audio worked on each of those days, which is why all of those are uploaded. Because I recreated that Sierra profile within my renderer. And so after I did all 10 days, I put them all back together and re-rendered that, let that run once again for another 22 hours, and it finished sometime today. And I began uploading it, so that is currently in the process of uploading. Now, who's going to watch an 11-hour video, right? But if you think about it, if you're going to bed and you basically want to go to sleep to a great, fantastic story with great, fantastic actors like Tim Curry, Mark Hamill, Leah, I believe her last name is pronounced Ramilli. You have all these great actors in this Gabriel Knight game, and you could literally start playing that 11-hour video and just go to sleep to a fantastic story with fantastic actors, which will also increase that video's view rate and, also increase like the channel visibility if you like and subscribe and share and talk about how this is like the best video to go to sleep to. Who needs to go to sleep to those 11 hours of rain and thunder? Go to sleep to Gabriel Knight 1, 11 hours worth of gameplay. I mean, to me, that sounds like a fantastic idea. And that's how I'm going to sell this 11-hour video that is currently uploading. But naturally, like I said, all 10 days individually are there. If you want to just go to a specific day, maybe you're stuck. A couple of the days are kind of long. There's some that are like an hour and a half to an hour. But then you get later on in the game, the days are like only like 30 minutes to 45 minutes. So the first couple days are fairly long. And somehow, without even using a walkthrough, and you can tell because there are times that I'm literally spinning my wheels, in the end, I was only 1 point off. So if I remember correctly, the maximum points is 342, I believe it is, and I ended up with 341. And I have no idea how I got that close to be getting the max amount of points, but then I also have no idea where that 1 point I might have missed is. So I'm super curious if everyone knows, whoever wants to sit through 11 hours of video, if you know where that 1 point that I missed is, that'd be great. I would love to actually know, since I didn't use a walkthrough, and I don't feel like I need to use a walkthrough. If I got that many points, I got that close to getting the maximum, I feel like I did pretty much everything right. There's a couple places where I kind of just guessed. There's something that you have to do with the drums when you're inside the cult thing, and I kind of just did a stab, and I'm wondering if that's where the point was. Like maybe I got the end result of what I needed, like this person moved out of the way, and I was able to get what I needed, but I wonder if there is a specific message there that you're supposed to type. And then there is also, like I said, I was originally trying to play it in ScumVM, and like on day one, you go to your grandmother's house, and you go up to the basement because she says, your father has stuff up there for you. And the main thing to get up there is the diary, which has all the drawings and stuff like that, because you'll use that to draw stuff into it. But there's also a clock there. Now, when I was playing it on the ScumVM version, I have no idea. I was literally turning this, try the key, turn this, try the key, turn this, try the key, turn this, try the key, and literally was going through this clock, just trying different things. And I finally figured out, when it finally did it, what was what. So when you see me do it in the DOSBox version, I still didn't remember what the right pattern was. So I think it takes me like 3 or 4 tries to get the right pattern on the clock. But nowhere in the game, and maybe that's the point I'm missing, the one point, nowhere in the game could I find what indicates is the right pattern. I don't know if it is literally a guessing game that you just have to keep trying and then you figure it out, or if there's somewhere in the game that says, hey, when you get to the clock, this is what you're supposed to do. So maybe that's the one point I'm missing also. I have no idea, but you're going to see on my gameplays, I still take 4 or 5 tries at it, but when I did it on the ScumVM thing, I was literally on this puzzle for about a half an hour, trying different combinations to get it right. Anyway, so that said, I clearly finally completed Gabriel Knight 1, and the next game, obviously, if you can't tell by my silly thumbnail that this is being played over, is Gabriel Knight 2, The Beast Within. Now that thing is originally on 3 discs, 3? No, or 6. I don't have the game with me anymore. It's back in my garage after I installed the installer. It might be 6. It might be 6 CDs, and I think maybe Gabriel Knight 3 is 3 CDs. So I imagine that game is going to take me a longer time than what Gabriel Knight 1 did. Gabriel Knight 1 I played off and on quite frequently, so there was a lot of it that was indeed muscle memory. If you watched my previous channel update, I talked about how much Gabriel Knight 1 influenced me. It created this massive interest in me to go to New Orleans and experience New Orleans and just do things in New Orleans and get to know that culture. But it also created an interest in learning more about voodoo by going to New Orleans and just picking up books and kind of talking to people and stuff like that. So Gabriel Knight 1 I've played from time to time because that game had such a big influence on me. Gabriel Knight 2 I have not played nearly as often, and Gabriel Knight 3 I've played probably even less. So this might take me a while to get through Gabriel Knight 2, so I may be doing channel updates as I'm playing, if it takes too long, just to talk about where I am in the game and what I'm experiencing and stuff like that. But in the meantime, I'm just going to shut up now. Please click like and subscribe. If there's any of these videos that you like, please share it on different social medias like Facebook groups. There's a number of Sierra related Facebook groups you can help share this out, because word of mouth is the best form of advertising because it's coming from a trusted source, you, versus me trying to push it out there, and that just becomes spam because people are like, yeah, stop promoting your damn channel. So if someone else is out there promoting it for me, that's even way more beneficial because it's coming from someone else besides the creator and ideally indicates a sense of trust. So if you haven't already, please click like, subscribe, share, and all that fun stuff. And hopefully you enjoy the 11 hours of Gabriel Knight 1. And like I said, pretty soon, whenever it finishes uploading, there's an 11-hour video that you can go to sleep to. All right. See you guys in Gabriel Knight 2.